Hare Krishna, Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devam Gaudavani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pasyata Deshatarane Namo Mahabandanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Trise Namaha Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmanitaya Cha Jagaritaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we're all very fortunate to be given this rare opportunity to be involved in Krishna consciousness. And the exact program that Srila Prabhupada has given us is so rare, so sweet, so beautiful. Temple life, whether you live in the temple or you visit, to see the beautiful deities of Radha and Krishna, chant, take prasad, offer to the deities, to live a spiritual life is so rare and so sweet and so wonderful, especially because it gives us the opportunity to come in contact with Krishna through our transcendental senses. And the books that Srila Prabhupada has written are so liberating and so pure. They're so rare. There's no other books like them. Just as Srila Prabhupada is so rare. I was fortunate to have his association. And anyone who stays loyal to the path of Krishna consciousness will in time get to feel Krishna's presence in their mind and their intelligence. The intelligence is a very, it's very rare for someone to have his intelligence absorbed in Krishna consciousness. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, Eke Kuru Nandana. So one whose intelligence is fixed. So the intelligence is above the mind, it's finer than the mind. And to get to that level where the intelligence is absorbed in Krishna consciousness requires that we refine our senses, our mind and our body needs to become refined. And the more the mantra works on refining us and purifying our character, the closer and closer we get to having Krishna distilled throughout us. And this happens on the level of the intelligence, which is quite phenomenal. In the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains that the Paramatma is the form direction of the intelligence. So the intelligence is the source of remembrance, is the medium for remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And when we are saturated with the vibration of Lord Krishna, then, and the intelligence becomes finally saturated as well with the mantra, then our memories, our thoughts become very naturally fluid in Krishna consciousness. When we think about our life, our past, we will see Krishna in our thoughts. When we think about the present properly, we'll see and feel Krishna in our thoughts. Krishna is present in us when our intelligence is saturated, then what we see and what we feel is Krishna. Memories, not just personal memories, but I mean leelas, come to us more naturally. So in Krishna consciousness, the mind doesn't stop functioning. It just stops functioning materially. The mind is not used to meditate or to think about the body. Rather, the mind is thinking about Krishna. So this indicates a liberation from the body. So literally, when we are liberated from the bodily concept, then the Krishna consciousness can nicely foster or flourish within us. It's a very natural position, not that it's so much that it's natural, but it is sweet. It is natural in the sense that it is extremely sweet, and it fulfills our deepest desires. So one thing that we learn in Krishna consciousness is that desire is really the only thing that the jiva can do. The material world is beyond our control. We have no control over it whatsoever. The material body, we have no control over. We are simply desiring something, and those desires are either fulfilled or not fulfilled by the higher authority of Lord Krishna, and that's based on karma. So all we're doing actually is sitting in the machine of the body, desiring. And what we desire is creates our reality. So someone who's Krishna conscious or intelligent, he doesn't desire material life, a better material life, or even a worse material life. He doesn't meditate on material life, but he desires spiritual life. A devotee desires Krishna. Because Krishna is desirable. So he uses the ability to desire in the service of the Lord. The jiva, even though he's tatashta, neutral, he can't stay neutral. The jiva is either desiring Maya or desiring Krishna. In some cases, when the jiva he could attain liberation temporarily from the material modes without being Krishna conscious, and that is a temporary situation. So he can't remain, without desire. Akama sarvakama va moksha kamu dadadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajata purusham param. You cannot remain without desire, because by nature the soul is desiring. Desire is an eternal aspect of the soul, as much as liquidity is an eternal aspect, or a quality of water, which cannot be taken away from. Water is wet. Okay, so in the same way, desire is a aspect of the jiva, which you can try to minimize through liberated processes. You can try to stop desire, or you can try to fulfill all of your desires materially, like drug addicts or alcoholics or sexaholics or workaholics. They try to fit in so much material pleasure into their life because they think that this is the way to go. So people in the material world are either trying to fulfill all of their material desires, and they think that this is the path, and then some others are trying to stop all desires because they see that as a point of suffering, and so they go down the path of desirelessness. But both of them are impossible to balance your mind and to fulfill yourself. In order to be truly happy, one has to learn the art of desiring Krishna. And if we learn to desire Krishna, how can we not desire Krishna? He's all desirable. So it's not that hard. Once we learn through the gateway of the pure devotee, through his association and literature, Vani and Vapu, then desire, we follow the regulative principles and we chant, then desire for Krishna naturally unfolds. It's not something that's artificial, that's something that is introduced at some point. According to Lord Chaitanya and our acharyas, it's something that exists within the heart. Now, specifically, let's talk about that for one moment, because there's been many questions and discussions among Vaishnavas. Is Krishna Prem inherent in the soul? So there are some paradoxes that I want to touch on very briefly in Krishna consciousness. I hope you're listening. These are the paradoxes. Is Krishna Prem resident in the heart? So the answer is this. Prior to Krishna consciousness, there's no Krishna Prem. After being introduced by the spiritual master, Krishna Prem can come. So is it necessarily resident in the heart? If I say yes, then that means that it would never have been activated if it was not for Srila Prabhupada and meeting an acharya on his level. It would never happen. So in one sense, it's not, because I can go along my life, birth after birth after birth, and never experience Krishna Prem. But Krishna Prem, love of God, manifests after being introduced by the pure devotee. So if that's the case, then when we are actually practicing the rules and regulations of bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti, the fact is Krishna becomes pleased that we're serving him. We're chanting, and when I say serving, I mean exclusively accepting Lord Krishna as the goal of our life as a supreme personality of Godhead. We don't share his throne with any other demigod. We don't give equal weight to impersonal Mayavadiism or anything like this. We worship Lord Krishna with Radha, his eternal consort, as the absolute goal and only goal of our meditation. And because we do that, and everything we do is in relation to Krishna, then the Lord, being pleased with us, he gives us mercy. He gives us Krishna Prem. It's in the mantra, and he gives it to us. So it's actually given in that sense. It's really not resonant. It's not inherent as much as it is given. And in this way, we can understand that it's by Krishna's mercy that I can awaken, you and I can awaken this Krishna Prem. Krishna being pleased upon the jiva for his surrender, for his giving up his material ambitions and surrendering. He gives himself to his devotee. He doesn't give himself personally unless we have this surrendered attitude. What happens to someone who's simply living a material lifestyle? Krishna guides him as a super soul, but doesn't give him prem. He awards or punishes him with material desires, but he doesn't give his prem. The prem is only given when we beg for it. So prem is not really resonant. It's not inherent, in the soul. It's something that we gain by Krishna's mercy. That's why Prabhupada says we can also lose it. He says that the jiva is always independent and free will is always there. So we could literally commit offenses and lose our connection temporarily to Krishna. So if we can gain it and lose it, then it's not inherent. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he protects his devotees, and once we go to him, we don't go back. We do not retreat. We're with him forever. So we have that guarantee from the Lord that once we have attained Krishna consciousness, we're not going to retreat from that position. So it's interesting if we understand this idea of Krishna Prem, because it's a very important aspect in our development to understand it correctly. Because If we understand Krishna by his grace is giving himself, then we can also understand that he gives himself to his devotee in a way that pleases his devotee. Not each one of us are going to see the same Krishna. He's going to appear to us in a slightly different manner. And the ras that we have with the Lord will each of us have slightly differences. And that's part of the beauty of Krishna consciousness, because Krishna's unlimited and he really likes unlimited relationships. That is his speciality. So he's going to have nuances of different relationships with everyone. And some of us are going to be super attracted to young Krishna. Maybe we'll have a filial or a parental attachment to the Lord. Some of us will be cowherd boys who just love the fraternity of being with Krishna. They feel so ecstatic. And some of us are going to be in the mood of Madhurya Lila or Gopi Bhav. And that, of course, is considered the highest. And amongst them, some of us will even be manjaris, following directly in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. But regardless of which ras we're in, we will be able to understand all the other rasas. And we'll be able to understand myriads of things about Lord Krishna and his devotees, because knowledge of Krishna comes to us and knowledge of his personality is revealed to us. And we will get understanding of all the different rasas. And some of the beauty of Krishna consciousness is that whatever particular ras we are truly attracted to, when we come to that point where we say, I cannot live without this particular mood of Krishna. I have to be in this relationship. It's extremely important to me. It's everything. It's my soul. When you get to that level, then you will not want to change your ras no matter what. Even though you can deeply appreciate everyone else's ras, you don't want to change your ras, because Krishna fulfills you in a relationship with him in a particular ras in a way that makes you feel that you were always in that ras. And this comes back to this point that Prabhupada makes to us, where he says that we were always with Krishna. So there's a paradox here, because that's true and not true. It's true in the sense that there is nothing but Krishna. There's no the material world doesn't really exist for us. Even though it's real, it doesn't exist for us because we're spiritual. We really have nothing to do with it. Time and the time element and the elements of the material world run on its own. We're just involved, but we're not committed. It's nothing we can control. So the material world doesn't exist. And the Brahma Jyoti, we can't stay there because we're not neutral. We have desire. So what's left is a relationship with Krishna. And that always existed. But on the other hand, for us, did we ever taste that prior? And the answer is no, because if we did taste it, we would be there. So the paradox is that we were never in Krishna consciousness, but once we are, we feel like we've always been there. And this is the paradox. There's many paradoxes in Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely incredible. And that's why devotees argue or have a difficult time comprehending these paradoxes. It's best to understand that, leave them as they are. They are a paradox. They are a chintya. And they're meant to be that way because we're doing something that's unique in Krishna consciousness. We're going in the opposite direction of ourself and what we know. We're going inward, not outward. And going inward back into and ultimately to the absolute is something we've never done. So our language and our understanding is not applicable to what we're going through. But in time, it's revealed. So that's why I can say that there are paradoxes, and paradoxes shouldn't be a point of contention. They should not cause us to quarrel. We shouldn't develop these opposing Vaishnav camps. Oh, is Krishna consciousness, is love of God inherent or not? Is the Ras inherent or not? Well, according to what Prabhupada said it is, and according to what Prabhupada said it's not. And according to Lord Chaitanya it is, and according to Jiva Goswami it's not. There's no sense in arguing these points because both are right. And so I see that all these arguments that we're having are completely useless, and they're actually debilitating to our spreading Krishna consciousness together. We really should not be focused on the argumentation. We need to understand that these paradoxes are beautiful. And if we have a good intelligence, we'll understand them. And there's really no reason and any rhyme or time for us to be arguing with each other, whether we are in the same camp with the same guru or different Vaishnav Sanghas. All of this arguing is ridiculous. The only thing that really makes sense to me is that we are all under the same umbrella. There might be slight nuances, like I said earlier, in the different forms that are revealed to us, Krishna reveals to us, or there may be different modalities of worship that the different Vaishnav Sanghas have. But that's all beautiful, and we can learn from them, and they can learn from us. When are we going to develop more of a unified approach to Krishna consciousness? When can we all dance together and chant and take prasad together? That really should be the only goal that we have. Not the only goal, but that should be our vision. It's really offensive to our acharyas and to Krishna that we cannot cooperate with one another. It's offensive, and it's due to a lack of knowledge. This is, in my opinion, clearly due to a lack of knowledge, and lack of knowledge is because of a lack of advancement. So if you remain on a Kanishna or lower level, you will not be able to understand the unifying principle of Krishna consciousness. It's as simple as that. And so you have to pray. I shouldn't say you. We all need to pray to advance. We need to become sincere. We need to become focused. We need to become detached from material life. We need Krishna's mercy. We need it very badly. And we need to get that mercy before, we're committing so many offenses to each other that we don't get a chance for that mercy because we have so many offenses we're committing. So we need to execute our devotional service in a humble way, not in a fighting spirit. We need to execute it humbly. And we need to deal with devotees in a non-offensive manner. You can't expect Krishna's mercy if you think you're advanced, you're chanting, and then when it comes to dealing with another Vaishnav in managerial role and so forth, that you scream at him or he screams at you or you have bitterness and so forth. And in your mind, you're thinking, well, forget him, forget her, I don't get along with him, I don't get along with her. And you think that's okay. And then you just go along your own bhakti. It won't work. You have got to figure out or know in yourself that is not going to please Krishna, and therefore you're not going to advance. You have got to be able to associate with other Vaishnavas without committing offenses. And that takes inner contemplation, not separate from Krishna consciousness. If you are getting some mercy in your chanting and in your performance of bhakti, you're hearing and chanting and serving, and if you're feeling the presence of the Lord, then you need to advance to the next stage, which is to manifest that mercy to others. That's what I'm saying. If you think you're experiencing to some degree Krishna consciousness, if you cry, or if you're feeling, when you read and you feel the presence and that you have that aha moment of satisfaction, and if you cannot take that heart of yours, which has become cleansed enough to appreciate Krishna, and you cannot manifest that heart to others, then you're lacking. It's something you need to work on. How can I be more loving as Krishna is loving to me? Krishna is loving me. He is descending into me. He's giving me his mercy. He's giving me his form as a youth. I'm experiencing joy. That joy should not be in opposition to anyone. It needs to manifest itself to others. That is an advanced Vaishnava. And if we can be on that level, not only will our joy stay constant, but we will begin to do amazing things with other devotees. How wonderful if we could cooperate together. How wonderful if we could, and I say this, and it's not impossible because Prabhupada did it. Prabhupada did it. He was able to take non-harmonious elements of devotees and bring us together easily. He disarmed us and taught us to cooperate. And we have to follow his example. We have to read and see Prabhupada's videos and hear how he did this. We have to learn through his association how our character needs to improve, how our character needs to come up a level, how we have to take the mercy that Krishna has given us and project it to others. Not be a kripana, not be a miser, but project it. So our character is constant. We are constantly Krishna conscious. That's what we need to strive for. So if we can attain to that steadiness in Krishna consciousness, then we can have a constant remembrance of the Lord in our heart. There won't be these big gaps, where only a little bit of time during the day when we're chanting on our own, but then as soon as we get into the association of others, we lose it. Now, I'm speaking from experience. This is not just me thinking I'm not on some higher platform. I've gone through this and I'm continuing to go through this, but I'm sharing with you my best understanding of what I'm going through. I'm sharing with you the importance of humility in dealing with devotees and figuring out the changes that we each need to make. One of my problems is I've always been inflexible. I'm not flexible. And most of us are like that. We get rigid about our beliefs. And so not that we should not be dedicated to our beliefs, but the method of our rigidity and the method of our expression needs to be more refined. Not yelling at someone, not anger with somebody, not going off the deep end, and losing it, or feeling bitterness in our heart because what someone said to us. We have got to learn to keep our heart open and let go of unnecessary feelings that try to find their place through our mind into our heart where they stay. We need to keep attentive to keeping the good demeanor, keeping a happy, joyful state, and not being polluted by the wrong desires and the wrong mood. So this is the work that is before us to do if we are going to attain steady love of God and be effective in our distribution of Krishna consciousness. So this is a requirement for us. And we have to think about this, and we have to meditate upon this, and then we have to act upon it. And those who we have a difficult time with, rethink those relationships. And when you're involved with these devotees again, or even non-devotees, rethink your attitude toward them and how you can open your heart and be more Krishna conscious. What is it that you can do in the moment to show your compassion, your love, your depth of understanding, your ability to listen to them and to understand their heart before you jump down their throat with your attitude? Can you listen to the other Vaishnav or non-Vaishnav, non-devotee? How well do we listen before we want to put our opinion on them? So the better we become at hearing, which is compassion, which comes from a state of happiness, then the better we will be at responding in a Krishna conscious fashion. Okay, so I want to leave that for you to think about, let it seep into your intelligence and your mind, and see if how that fits for you. And hopefully that inspires you in your daily life, in your performance of Krishna consciousness, in your slow and steady advancement toward receiving the Lord in your heart, Krishna, with great love and great devotion and great enthusiasm. Our goal is on a daily basis, as often as possible, to embrace the sweet Lord in our heart with our full heart's desire and ability to embrace him, because that is the only thing that makes sense. That is the only relationship that warrants our full and complete attention and love. Krishna is number one for us. And if we can love him because he's all lovable, then we can love everyone. Thank you for listening. Contact me. My contact information is on the bottom here in YouTube. Please contact me. We will talk with you. We can Zoom with you. We can read together. We can chant together. One of my goals is to travel and preach and give association and take association and get your friendship. So I want to travel around the world and meet. And if you travel to LA, please come and visit me. All these things, because we're one large community of Vaishnavas who can learn from one another and love one another. This is our family. Anyone who is accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the goal of his life, they are our greatest family. So let's take advantage of our family. Let's expand our family relationships. Let's learn from one another. Let's enliven one another. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ramante cha tushanti cha, or tushanti cha ramante cha, that my devotees enliven one another by hearing and chanting together my glories. Let's not take that lightly. We can enliven one another, not just talk prajalpa. We can enliven one another in the deepest way. Let's aim for that, and we'll all have a good life. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.